In the heart of Kenya's Masai Mara savanna, where endless expanses breathe heat and wild life, young volunteer Aisha walked along a dusty patrol route, her old boots crunching on the dry sun-scorched grass. The morning air was alive. Zebras lazily grazed on the horizon, cicadas filled the air with their chirping, and a light breeze carried the distant cries of birds and the rustling of acacia leaves. Aisha, a 20-year-old girl from a neighboring village, loved these morning patrols. Here, among the wild nature, she felt part of something greater than her everyday life. But that morning, everything changed. A sharp, mournful sound, almost a cry of despair, shattered the familiar silence of the savannah. Aisha froze, her heart pounded. She knew Mara like the back of her hand, but this sound was alien, full of pain and fear. Grabbing the radio and phone, she hurried forward, pushing through the thorny acacia thickets until she came to a small clearing, surrounded by low bushes. There, entangled in a cruel noose of steel wire, a baby giraffe was desperately thrashing, its long thin legs shaking with terror. The baby was only a few months old, its frail body shook with tremors, its long neck twisted in a futile attempt to escape, but the poacher's noose, pulled tight, cut into its front leg, leaving a deep bleeding wound. The skin around it was inflamed, purple, with dark patches of dirt and dried blood. Aisha felt her heart clench with terror. The baby giraffe's eyes, large, shiny, full of panic, stared straight at her, as if begging for rescue. She carefully knelt a few meters away, trying not to frighten the baby even more, and began quietly humming the low humming sounds she'd learned in training that giraffes use to soothe their young. "Hush, little, I'm here. We'll get you out," she whispered, her voice trembling with excitement, but she tried to control herself. Grabbing the radio, Aisha called the rangers. "Baby giraffe, West Hill, caught in a noose. The wound is deep, blood is flowing. He probably can't cope alone." While she waited for help, Aisha remained standing, filming everything on her phone with trembling hands. The camera captured the steel wire digging into the baby giraffe's delicate skin. It's twitching, trying to free itself, and the blood slowly trickling down its thin leg, mixing with the reddish dust of the savannah. Aisha knew time was running out. Poacher traps like this one were the bane of the Masai Mara. They were set for antelope or buffalo, but giraffes, tall, graceful, with their long, fragile legs, were often the accidental victims. The giraffe population in Kenya was dwindling every year. Poaching, deforestation, and snares like these were claiming dozens of lives. Aisha recalled the words of her mentor, the veteran ranger Oli, "Every trap is a blow to the heart of the savannah. If we don't act, our children will only see giraffes in pictures." The wait dragged on agonizingly long, almost 40 minutes, until finally the rangers' dusty jeeps burst into the clearing, raising clouds of reddish dust. A team poured out of the vehicles, 2 veterinarians, 4 rangers, and several volunteers from a neighboring village. Their movements were quick and coordinated, as if they had rescued animals from similar traps dozens of times before. Veterinarian Kiprono, a man with a stern face and kind, tired eyes, knelt down next to the giraffe calf, carefully examining the wound. "The noose cuts deep, but he's still fighting," he said, taking out a tranquilizer syringe. Aisha stood nearby, her camera continuing to film, the baby quieting under the influence of a mild sedative, as the rangers began cutting the wire with surgical precision, careful not to cut the inflamed skin. Blood flowed down the baby giraffe's leg, and everyone around froze when, finally, the noose fell into the grass with a dull clang. The wound was horrific. The skin around it was torn, inflamed with dark clots of dirt and pus. The veterinarians worked quickly, cleaning the cut with antiseptic solution, removing dead tissue and dirt. The footage Aisha captured was tense, almost tangible. Close-ups showed the metal instruments entering the wound, the blood mixing with the clear liquid. The team focused on saving the baby's life. Aisha, still standing nearby, continued to whisper words of encouragement to the giraffe calf. "You're strong. You can handle it. Your mother is somewhere nearby." She knew that the baby's mother, tall and graceful, was wandering nearby, and this thought gave her strength. After an hour and a half of intense work, the wound was cleaned and treated. Kiprono applied a temporary bandage and administered antibiotics to the giraffe calf. The baby, still weak but calm, looked at the people with clear eyes, no longer showing the panic they had shown before. But the story wasn't over yet. Suddenly, from behind the hill, came a long, low call, a deep, almost musical sound. It was the giraffe's mother, her silhouette towering over the acacia trees as she slowly approached. The team helped the baby rise to its trembling legs. He wobbled, but took the first step, then the second, heading toward his mother. The moment of their meeting was like a miracle. The giraffe nuzzled her side with his muzzle, and she, bending her long neck, gently touched him, emitting a soft hum. Aisha, wiping tears from her face, smiled, feeling the tension of the last few hours dissolve in this image. Later, sitting by the campfire, surrounded by rangers and volunteers, Aisha recounted, "I was so scared, but I couldn't just leave. Giraffes are the soul of our savanna. They look so big, but they're actually so fragile. If we don't protect them, who will?" She pulled out her phone and showed footage from that day, adding, "I want people to know that every trap is a threat, but every life saved is hope." A few weeks later, the giraffe calf was spotted again. He was still limping slightly, but the wound was healing, and he was happily running after his mother, stretching his little neck to reach the acacia leaves. The Masai Mara breathed a sigh of relief, and this baby's story became legendary, about the courage of young Aisha, about the fight against poachers, about the hope that lives in everyone who doesn't pass by. Friends, thank you for taking the time to read this story. If it touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support us. See you in future wildlife stories.